And it is now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker. Judy Joo is a celebrated Korean-American chef patron, television personality, author, and restaurateur. Her popular restaurants named Jeonju are located in London and Hong Kong. After graduating from Columbia with a bachelor's degree, Ms. Joo first worked as a derivative salesperson at Morgan Stanley, before her lifelong passion for food and restaurants motivated her to switch careers. It was at this time that she chose to attend the French Culinary Institute in New York, where she graduated as class valedictorian. Following her move to London, Ms. Joo rotated through some of the city's top restaurants under a number of celebrity chefs, and her talents in the kitchen then led her to television, where she became one of 4 Iron Chefs on the UK version of the famed cult show, making her the second female Iron Chef ever globally. This success led to her own show and book, Korean Food Made Simple, where she draws on her Korean-American culinary heritage. She is considered the foremost expert on Korean cooking in the West and a pioneer in spreading appreciation for Korean cuisine around the world. She's a regular face on morning shows on the Food Network, regularly writes for numerous publications, and pens a monthly column for OK Magazine, profiling celebrity chefs from all around America. We are thrilled to have her here with us today to give the keynote address. Please join me in welcoming Judy Joo.
Oh, thank you, AK. I'm a little nervous. This is too tall for me, so I'm going to bring this down. Here we go. Good afternoon. Wow. I cannot believe that I'm actually here. President Bollinger, Dean Boyce, the Board of Trustees, and members of the Columbia faculty and staff, thank you for granting me this incredible honor. And congratulations to the class of 2018. Now, I remember some 20-odd years ago when I was sitting where you are now. Admittedly, I was a bit hungover and struggling to stay awake. We didn't have Red Bull or Adderall back then, just good old Mountain Dew and coffee. So if some of you doze off, I understand. I've been there, and this explains why, when I was asked to deliver this speech, the first thing I did was look up who spoke at my class day, because I couldn't remember it all, let alone anything that was said. So I had to do some research in hope of finding some direction. I scoured the internet. I watched hours of commencement speeches, and I learned a few things. The first actually answered a question I already had in my mind. Why on earth would Dean Boyce ask me? Here I am, watching President Obama, Conan O'Brien, Steve Jobs, mega celebrities. Why was I, a chef of all things, asked to partake in such an honor? Yes, I can cook 5 dishes, including a dessert highlighting a single random ingredient like an octopus in 1 hour flat. But is that really a worthy skill? Well, the answer I found is simple. It's because Columbia has 2 rules in order to speak here at this very podium. 1, you have to be an alum, and 2, you have to be alive. Still, it never occurred to me that I would be returning to campus in my cap and gown in this capacity, and as a result, I began to reflect on my 4 years here. And I realized that my memory is actually quite spotty. I remember some things very vividly, and other things not at all, like the majority of my classes. I took about 4 levels of calculus, linear algebra, ordinary differential equations, and now I can barely split the bill or even calculate tip. So yes, that just demonstrates how much time has passed and how much has changed since I was here. Another poignant example is that the Subway was just $1.25 back then. A slice of cornet pizza down the street was $1. Yeah, exactly, right? But what perhaps really puts this into perspective is that all of my classmates and I, and some of them are sitting right there, hello, all of my classmates and I have one numerical digit next to our initials and our Columbia email addresses. We were literally the first class here with email. Yeah, we're that old. One thing, though, that has not changed, and I do remember well, is being fearful. I was fearful when I first walked onto this campus as a freshman, and especially when I was sitting where you are today. I was scared for my future. I wasn't even going to become an engineer. I went straight to the exciting yet cutthroat world of Wall Street, where I embarked upon a career in fixed income derivatives. I didn't even know what that meant. What you have to realize, though, is that everyone is scared. What is going to set you apart is how you deal with that fear, how you can power through it. And if you have the relentless determination, fortitude, and sheer tenacity to transform all of that nervous energy and anxiety into courage. Courage to try, courage to take risks, and courage to face failure. Especially now, in your 20s, this is the time to be daring. You are freer now than you ever will be. And in the world, it is the time to be brave, to disrupt. We are seeing all traditional models and certainties vanish. I left my cushy, high-paying job in finance to pursue cooking. Now, that daring move wasn't in the playbook, and it most certainly was not in my parents' well-thought-out life plan for me, especially after all they had sacrificed for my education. But I had become disenchanted with the banking world, and as cliche as it does sound, I felt that life was too short to live a dream that someone else had for me. I had to at least try to pursue my passion and what I really wanted to do. So I decided to downgrade my life, work longer hours for less pay, and I entered the world of the culinary arts. Jumping off the fast track and away from a handsome paycheck, though, was very hard. I went from sitting in a nicely air-conditioned office behind a computer to standing for 15+ hours a day behind a hot stove. I traded in my weekly spa manicures for hands and arms covered in burns, bruises, and cuts. In the evenings, instead of going out with friends or clients to a 3 Michelin star dinner, I cooked one. And at the end of the night, instead of going home happily buzzing with a belly full of Dom Perignon and foie gras, I found myself covered in sweat, with an aching back, swollen feet, and a rather wounded ego. Of course, I often questioned my decision, especially when I had to do hours of mundane, menial work, like picking the stems off of hundreds of spinach leaves. I bet you never even noticed that. I hope now you'll appreciate that effort next time you have a salad. Okay, but I just kept at it and said, yes, chef. Because deep down, I knew that leaving finance was the best thing that I ever did. And as hard as it was, I did not give up. I knew that success would come because I loved cooking, and that's where my talent lied. I call it living outside the comfort zone. And I believe that it is this willingness to be daring, to take risks, and to be a disruptor has allowed me to shoot for the stars and to catch a few of them along the way. Parents, No doubt, right now, you are wishing that there was a different speaker standing here. After all, who goes to an Ivy League school? I mean, how much does this place cost now? Okay. To peel potatoes for a living. I understand. I am the daughter of 2 Korean immigrants. Mom and dad are right there. I am the product of tiger parenting. I had 3 piano lessons a week. I spent my summers in nerd camp. I was groomed to be a doctor, just like my dad. My mom came to the United States alone, which was unheard of back then, to pursue a master's degree. My father, the 8th of 9 kids, fled North Korea with his family when he was 6 and grew up in a refugee camp. Yeah, mom and dad are amazing. A little perspective. I once casually told my parents I was thinking of going into the Peace Corps. My dad wasn't just unimpressed with my altruism, he was rather incredulous. He could not understand me wanting to live in the type of country that he had so desperately fled. He had worked so hard, blood, sweat, and tears hard, to get to America and sacrificed so much to provide a better life for me. Why would I want to go backwards? My own parents risked everything so I wouldn't have to. Speaking to the parents attending today, I do understand why you would prefer that your now grown children take a familiar path forward. However, if they do choose an unconventional path to follow their passion, no matter what that may be, please give them your blessing. And know that they are more prepared than you think. Columbia taught them how to problem solve, to create, and even invent. My education here and the chance to live in this remarkable, insane city in college gave me the discipline and the street smarts I needed to succeed in any arena. And graduates, your first step out of college and into the real world is to try, please, to avoid living in your parents' basement. Paying your own rent will light a fire under your ass that living at home with free laundry service and free food will not. Living outside the comfort zone actually means giving up some comfort. It will also mean grunt work. Success doesn't come with monetary reward right away. Don't be too precious with yourself, and don't be above hard work. You will also need to believe in yourself fiercely, and don't question your experience. In my eyes, I've been underqualified for every single job I've ever had, including Iron Chef. I was one of the 4 Iron Chefs in the UK, and the other 3 men all had Michelin stars and years of experience. I didn't even have a restaurant back then. I definitely asked myself what right I had to be there, but I just went for it. I believe I got the Iron Chef gig and succeeded for 2 reasons. First, from working on the trading floor, I knew how to think quickly in a high-stressed, fast-paced environment. After all, being an Iron Chef is not necessarily about being the best chef. It is about being able to cook under pressure, in ridiculous circumstances, and with absurd ingredients. It's about having nerves of steel and making dessert with calf's liver. Second, I channeled my fear into panicked learning. I prepared obsessively. I studied. I practiced every day. I didn't shrink from the stress and the anxiety. I used it as fuel. I used it to succeed. And that success eventually led to 2 seasons of my own show, Korean Food Made Simple, books, restaurants, sponsors, and becoming a regular face on shows on the Food Network worldwide. My path, though, from the very beginning, has not been easy, and it's still not easy. I've gone through 3 male-dominated arenas: engineering, finance, and restaurants. And I've succeeded by embracing, thank you, yeah, it's hard, it's hard. And I've succeeded by embracing the challenge of living outside the comfort zone. But as you can imagine, my work has given me firsthand experience with the Me Too movement. I've faced discrimination and harassment because of my gender, age, and race. It's been hard, and I often look back and beat myself up with the would've, could've, should've scenarios. I would have fought back harder. I could have told someone sooner. I should have demanded justice. Yet, I was lucky. My parents and my all-girls education taught me to be strong at a very early age, and I had wonderful mentors who believed and helped me. Not everyone, though, is as fortunate. Looking around you, sitting in your row, is someone who, in their first job, might be the victim of discrimination or harassment. Your job, and this is to both men and women, is to speak up when it happens to you or to someone else. If you do not, you will be playing the what-if scenario for years later. Do not be silent. #MeToo could just be a moment. It is up to your generation to make sure that it endures. And women, speak up, not just for the Me Too movement's sake, but for yourself as well. Even though you may think you are underqualified, ask for that job, raise, or promotion. Nothing in life falls in your lap. Fight for what you want and go for it. And to the men, your job is not to succumb to the notion that setting quotas and ticking boxes solves your diversity problem. You also need to listen to women. You will need to mentor and be mentored by them. Have a female mentor and value the women on your team. Equality will not happen unless each and every one of you pushes for it. You graduate as elites. You have the power to change the workplace, to change policy, and to change lives. The question is, will you have the courage? Speaking up might be risky. Will you be daring enough to make those who discriminate and harass uncomfortable? I hope so. I believe so. It is the only way to transform workplaces into environments where gender and race take a back seat to hard work, talent, and passion. Now, in closing, just to demonstrate how fearless I've become since my graduation from Columbia, I wanted to address one more thing that I learned while researching this speech, and that is that nearly every commencement speaker I found had also been awarded an honorary degree, usually a PhD. Dean Boyce, me too. Where's mine? You'd make my parents so happy. I'd finally be a doctor. No? President Bollinger? Okay, well then, I tried. You gotta ask, you know? I just sincerely thank you again for this opportunity. I loved Columbia, and my time here gave me the confidence to take risks, reinvent myself, embrace failure, and succeed. Speaking here today is an honor of which I am most proud. It celebrates my choice to follow my heart. Now, graduates, go, work hard, create your own luck, and command your own journey. Thank you and congratulations. 감사합니다. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Joo. In each class,